Hi, this is Aileen Bautista of PSCPE 1-1, and I'm going to discuss about use case diagrams, which is one type of UML that stands for Unified Modeling Language. Okay, next up is that use case diagram used to show who are the users and other elements that interact with the system and the capabilities or functionalities that the system provides. So, by the definition, it implies that this will help us to have a better view on the interaction happening within the objects with their functions for the system. Okay, now next, use case diagram is a representation of a user's interaction with the system that shows the relationship between the user and the different use cases in which the user is involved. So, this use cases is the other term for the functions or its capabilities that is being mentioned in the first one, and this provides also a better image to show the relationship between the user and the system per se that comprises different functions, and it is going to show us also how the user is going to be involved in the system. Now, use case diagrams have different elements that we're going to use in order for us to draw this one. And first is going to be the actors. This represents any objects that perform tasks in a given system. An actor interacts with a use case shown as a stick figure in case diagram drawn outside the system boundary. And next, use case. This is an illustration of a specific business functionality in a system shown as an ellipse in a use case diagram. So also, the use case comprises the functions of a certain object. Next, system boundary. It shows the range of what a system will be because the system does not function infinitely. That is why the system's limit is needed to be defined. This was illustrated as a rectangle covering all the use cases in the system. Next, include. Relationship between use cases will be named include relationship if a use case was seen using also the function of another use case. This was shown as a directed arrow with a dotted streak, and it's going to have a stereotype include stated also. Next is the extend. Here, the child use case attaches to the existing function and characteristics of the parent use case between two use cases. Extend relationship is drawn like the include, and a stereotype extend will be written for it to be classified as an extend relationship. And the last element is generalizations. This is likewise a parent-child relationship between use case, which was shown as a directed arrow with a triangle arrowhead. Take note that the child use case is connected at the base of the arrow. Well, why do we need to know about use case diagram and how to use it? Well, because use case diagrams are used in communicating with end users and domain experts, identifying the users of the system, its different functionalities, and the types of interfaces it should have. And also, it's going to be used in verifying that all requirements have been captured and the development team understands the requirements. Because as we are giving you an example of a use case diagram, you'll be seeing here that there were no lapses and all the use cases were being interrelated to one another, and also how it runs within the system. In order for me to demonstrate on how to draw a use case diagram, I'm going to use the library management system. Okay, now first, we're going to identify the actors or the role of users in the system. In this case, we have 5 actors. 4 only. It is the user, the librarian, the vendors, and the book database. Next, for each category of users, identify all roles played by the users relevant to the system. So the roles are the functions also to be stated. And we're going to plot it here. Gonna list it down. Okay. Now, next, we will be identifying what are the users required the system to be performed to achieve these goals. So, of course, the goal is to manage the library system, right? Now, since we have already plotted everything, we're going now to create use cases for every goal or for every roles that we have assigned to each actors, okay? Now, next, we're going to structure the use cases. Now, we're going to plot it with, we're going to connect each one another on how they will be related to one another, okay? Now, here we go. There. That is how to draw a use case diagram. And you'll be seeing here also that I have created a boundary wherein it's going to enclose all the use cases, because this is what the system only covers. Because if we did not have the system boundary, it's going to show that it covers also the actors, and wherein they were not being involved in the system because they were just the actors outside the system, you know. And there. For the next topic is Isabel Balaya for the use case specification.
Each use case in a use case diagram should be properly documented via a use case specification. Name and brief description of the use case. It describes the role and purpose of the use case. Flow of events. These are textual descriptions of the different activities involved in the use case. There may be different types of flows of events. The basic flow, which describes the normal flow of activities, or several alternative flows, which may occur due to errors, variants, or odd cases. Relationships. This portion describes the different relationships the use case participates in. Activity diagrams. The graphical version of the flow of events. Use case diagrams. These diagrams can be used to show the relationships of the use case. Special requirements. A textual description of use case requirements, non-functional requirements that are to be dealt with during design and implementation. Precondition. It defines a constraint in the system before the use case may start. For example, a user must need to log into the system before she can use a use case. Post-condition. It defines a constraint in the system after the use case has terminated. For example, a user must log out to the system after she used a use case. And lastly, other diagrams, such as state chart, activity, and other UML diagrams are included in use case data. For example, user interface prototypes.